everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, the place where we help you speak English confidently, naturally, and without stress. I'm Henry.
And I'm Sarah. Thanks for joining us again, or if this is your first time, welcome. You're in the right place if you want to stop translating in your head and start speaking English more freely.
Exactly. Today's episode is going to be a really exciting one. We're talking about something that so many English learners struggle with. How to talk English without thinking.
Yes, that might sound strange, right? Wait, how can I speak without thinking? But we'll explain it. It's all about getting you to speak more naturally without freezing or overanalyzing every sentence.
Right. If you've ever started a sentence in English and then stopped because you weren't sure if it was correct, this episode is definitely for you.
We've both taught English for years, and we've seen this overthinking problem again and again. So today we're going to break it down, share some real strategies, give live examples, and even challenge you with a mini speaking activity later in the episode.
Yeah, so stick around, because by the end of this podcast, you'll not only understand why you overthink English, but also how to break free and just start speaking.
Let's help you stop thinking too much and start speaking much more. Ready, Henry?
Born ready. Let's dive in.
So, Henry, quick question before we get into the deep stuff. Have you ever felt nervous or awkward speaking another language?
Oh, 100% yes. Actually, I remember the first time I tried to speak French in Paris. I walked up to a cashier, totally ready with my line. And then I panicked. My brain just shut down. I said, bonjour, and then silence.
Oh no, classic. What happened?
I ended up pointing at what I wanted and mumbling, merci. It was painful. I knew what to say in my head, but in the moment, my brain was like, nope, not today.
I totally get that. I remember when I moved to Spain, and I had to ask where the bathroom was at a restaurant. I had practiced the sentence like 10 times in my head, but when the waiter looked at me, boom, all the words vanished.
See? This is what we're talking about today. That moment of pressure when you suddenly feel like you have to be perfect, and then your thoughts just scramble.
And that's exactly why today's topic matters. It's not just about knowing English, it's about being able to use it, even when your mind wants to freeze.
Right. And we'll talk about how you can train your brain to handle those moments better, without needing to think through every sentence in your head.
But before that, if you're listening and you've had a moment like this where you knew the words but still froze, don't worry. You're not alone, and it doesn't mean you're bad at English.
Absolutely. It just means you're human. The good news is, this can be trained. You can speak English more freely, and that's what we're here to help with.
All right, let's jump into the real talk why we overthink speaking English in the first place.
All right, so let's start at the root of the problem. Why do so many English learners overthink before speaking?
There are a few reasons, but one of the biggest is fear of making mistakes. A lot of learners feel like if they say something wrong, they'll be judged.
Yes, it's that little voice that says, wait, is this correct? What if I mess up the grammar? What if they don't understand me?
Exactly, and that fear can stop you from speaking altogether. And the irony is, you learn to speak by speaking mistakes and all.
I always tell my students, you didn't learn your first language perfectly. You babbled, you guessed, and you improved. That's normal.
Another big reason is translation. People try to translate from their native language in their head. They think, how do I say this in English? And that process just slows everything down.
Yes, and sometimes that translation doesn't even work. English might not have the exact same words or structure, So you get stuck trying to force a sentence that doesn't fit.
And let's not forget perfectionism. Some learners won't speak unless they know the exact grammar rule, but native speakers break grammar rules all the time.
Totally. I mean, we say stuff like gonna wanna gotta all the time. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being understood and natural.
And when learners focus too much on grammar while speaking, it's like trying to drive a car while reading the manual. You can't do both smoothly at the same time.
That's such a good comparison. You've got to practice driving, not just reading the book.
So, to all our listeners, if you're overthinking when you speak English, just know it's normal. But today, we'll show you how to train your brain to let go of that fear and flow more naturally.
And don't worry, there are real techniques you can use. We'll get into them very soon. But first, let's talk about this idea of thinking in English. What does that really mean? Okay, so now let's talk about something we hear a lot. You need to start thinking in English. But what does that actually mean?
Yeah, it sounds like some magical thing, right? Like suddenly your brain just switches languages. But really, it's about reducing the time your brain spends translating from your native language.
Exactly. When you think in English, even just a little, you speak faster, you feel more confident, and you avoid that, oh, how do I say this, moment.
Think of it like this. Instead of your brain going native language to English to speak, we want to go straight to English to speak.
Right. No more middle step. It's like removing a speed bump from the road.
And you don't need to think in full, perfect sentences at first. You can start with small things, like everyday objects. If you see a pen, just think, pen not boligrafo. Pen, just pen.
Yes. I call this naming your world. When you're brushing your teeth, think I'm brushing my teeth. When you're walking, think I'm going to the store. Just simple phrases. No pressure.
And over time, your brain starts getting used to those patterns. You build a kind of English reflex.
Want to give a couple of tips for how listeners can start doing that today?
Definitely. Tip number 1, change your phone or apps to English. That way, you start seeing and thinking in English every day without even trying.
Nice. Tip number 2, use an English inner voice. That means when you talk to yourself, like we all do, try to do it in English. Even if it's just, where are my keys? Or I need coffee.
Tip number 3, watch short English videos and repeat the lines. You don't have to understand everything, just focus on copying the tone and rhythm. That helps train your brain.
And one more. Tip number 4, keep an English-only notebook. Write your thoughts, plans, or even your grocery list in English. It's a great way to make English part of your daily life.
So thinking in English doesn't mean you have to speak like a native immediately. It means training your brain to stop relying on your first language every time you speak.
And the more you do that, even in small moments, the more natural your speaking will become. No more getting stuck.
And speaking of sounding natural, let's get into the real techniques that help you speak without thinking too much. Ready, Henry?
Let's go. Time to share the good stuff. All right, now it's time for the good stuff. You're here because you want to speak English more naturally, without freezing, without translating, and without overthinking.
So let's share some real techniques you can start using today to make that happen. First up is something super simple, but really powerful. We call it rapid speaking or free speaking.
Here's how it works. You set a timer for 1 minute, and you just talk. That's it. Pick any topic. Your morning, your favorite food, your weekend plans, and speak without stopping.
Even if you make mistakes, keep going. The goal is fluency, not perfection.
Let's try a quick demo. I'll talk for 15 seconds about my breakfast. Ready? Okay, so this morning I had toast and coffee. I was a little tired because I stayed up too late. But the toast was really good. I added peanut butter and some banana. It's my favorite combo. Quick, easy.
Perfect. Did you hear that? It wasn't fancy, but it was natural. That's what you want. Just let your words come out. Next, let's talk about chunk learning. This is about learning and using phrases, not individual words.
Right. Instead of learning the word idea and trying to build a sentence, learn a whole phrase like, "That's a good idea. I have no idea. What do you think about this idea?"
When you learn in chunks, your brain doesn't have to work so hard. You already have ready-to-use language in your pocket.
Think of it like Lego blocks. You're not building from zero, you've already got full pieces you can connect.
This one's fun, especially with a friend. Try an improv game where one person gives a random word and the other has to speak about it for 30 seconds.
Let's do one right now. Sarah, your word is umbrella.
Okay. Umbrella. I always forget mine when it rains and then I regret it. I actually own 3 umbrellas, but I never bring them. Once I had to use a plastic bag as a hat because it was raining so hard.
That's perfect. You just talked with zero preparation, and that's exactly the point. Now, here's one of my personal favorites, shadowing. This is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say at the same time, like an echo.
Yes, it sounds weird, but it works. You can use clips from YouTube, TV shows, or podcasts. Repeat the rhythm, the pronunciation, the emotion. Don't worry about understanding everything at first.
Try it with a short scene. Watch, pause, repeat, copy their flow. This trains your mouth and ears to feel the language.
It's like singing along with a song you're not translating. You're just feeling the language pattern. Another cool one is using images or objects as prompts. Look at a picture and describe it out loud. Don't write, just speak.
You can say things like, "There's a boy riding a bike. The sky is cloudy. They look happy." You don't need a script. Your brain starts producing language naturally.
And let's not forget the mental side of all this. One of the best ways to speak without thinking is to stop trying to be perfect.
Yes, you're allowed to pause. You're allowed to say, or You're allowed to make grammar mistakes.
Fluency is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But you've got to stop holding back.
Exactly. Speak more, think less, and enjoy the process. You're learning every time you open your mouth.
All right, coming up next, it's time for our mini challenge where we'll help you practice speaking without thinking in real time.
Ooh, yes. Get ready. It's gonna be fun. All right, now it's time for our favorite part of the show, the mini challenge. This is where you, our amazing listeners, get to practice speaking without overthinking.
That's right. So wherever you are, at home, in your car, on a walk, get ready to speak out loud. Don't worry if you make mistakes. No one's judging. Just go with the flow.
Okay, here's how it works. We'll give you a simple topic. You'll have 30 seconds to speak about it, non-stop. Don't pause to fix your grammar. Just keep talking.
And if you can't think of what to say, make something up. Be creative. The point is to keep your brain in speaking mode, not thinking mode.
All right, topic number 1. What do you usually do in the morning? You have 30 seconds. Ready? Go. Keep going. Don't stop. Just say whatever comes to mind.
Nice job. Even if you said or repeated words, it's all good. The goal is to keep speaking. Let's do one more. Topic number 2, talk about your favorite food. What is it? Why do you love it? Same thing. 30 seconds. Ready, set, go.
Keep it going. Describe the taste, the smell, when you eat it. Anything.
Well done. Seriously. If you did that out loud, you're already improving your fluency.
And here's the trick. Do this kind of challenge every day. Set a timer, pick a topic, and just talk. It builds confidence super fast.
You don't need a classroom. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need your voice and a few minutes of courage.
Coming up next, we'll wrap up with a quick recap and leave you with some motivation to keep pushing forward. Don't go anywhere. Okay, it's time for a quick Q&A and myth-busting session where we answer some common questions and clear up some of the biggest misunderstandings English learners have.
Yeah, and trust us, these are things we hear all the time from students all over the world. All right, let's start with a big one. I have to speak perfect grammar to be fluent. Henry, what do you say?
Nope. Total myth. Fluency is not perfection. You can be fluent and still make grammar mistakes. Native speakers do it every day.
Exactly. Fluency means your ideas flow. People understand you. That's the goal, not sounding like a textbook.
Here's another one. I need to plan the whole sentence in my head before I speak false.
Definitely false. That's actually what slows you down. Real conversation is messy and fast. You've got to start speaking even if the sentence isn't complete yet.
Start with what you know, and your brain will catch up. Trust the process.
This one makes me sad. If I make a mistake, people will laugh at me. Not true. Most people are just happy you're trying.
Yes, and if someone laughs at you, that says more about them, not you. Making mistakes is how you grow.
Mistakes are proof that you're doing something brave. Be proud of that.
Okay, time for a quick listener question. One we hear a lot is, how long does it take to speak without thinking?
Great question. And the answer is, it depends. But the more you speak, the faster it happens. Some learners feel a change in just a few weeks of consistent practice.
Especially if you're using the techniques we talked about today, like chunking, free speaking, and shadowing.
And remember, progress isn't always visible, but it's happening in your brain. Stay patient, stay active, and trust yourself.
All right, up next, we'll wrap up with a quick recap and send you off with a little motivation. You've earned it.
Let's finish strong.
All right, friends, we've covered a lot today. So let's quickly recap the key takeaways to help you talk English without thinking.
First, we talked about why we overthink when speaking English, fear, perfectionism, and trying to translate everything in our heads. That's normal, but it doesn't have to control you.
Second, we explored the idea of thinking in English. You don't need full sentences. Just start with small thoughts, everyday phrases, and build from there.
Then we gave you real techniques to speak more naturally. Free speaking, chunk learning, shadowing improv games, visual prompts. Do these regularly, and you'll start speaking faster, with more confidence.
We also busted some common myths, like the need for perfect grammar or complete sentences before speaking. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be brave and consistent.
If you remember one thing from today's episode, let it be this. Fluency comes from doing, not thinking. The more you speak, the easier it becomes.
So keep going. Speak out loud. Make mistakes. Enjoy the journey.
Coming up next, our final segment, some words of motivation to keep you inspired.
Let's close this episode with some good energy. Stick around. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the English Learning Podcast, Talk English Without Thinking.
We hope you're walking away with not just tips, but real confidence to go out and start speaking, mistakes and all.
Remember, you don't need perfect grammar. You just need to open your mouth and go for it. That's how real fluency is built.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share it with someone who's also learning English. Let's grow this learning community together.
We'll be back next time with more practical topics real conversations, and fun ways to keep improving your English. Thanks for listening, and keep speaking English every day.